Mhm. All right, all right. Let me go ahead and share this screen. As everybody knows, we are here. We're back. And us. Here we go.
Exit made this.
Here we go.
We talk shit, we pop shit, we back up though.
You feel me?
You feel me? Tell them what we talking about. Anything. Tell them what we talking about. Anything. Tell them what we talking about. Anything. 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 Welcome to the Soapboxx. Anything. Welcome to the Soapboxx. Anything. Welcome to the Soapboxx. Anything. 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 Yo. We gon' break the rules and open up your consciousness. Little bit of politics, whole lot of honestness. Anti-establishment that needs all abolishment. Straight from the dirt, need a little polishing. Team kinda partisan. TJ the lead, he the arsenal. All together, we just the hottest. Pick a topic for discussion, we gon' rock it for the public. And be honest, this is nothing. Watch the progress, cause it's coming. This is everything you think, but you can't express. We a vessel of the people in innate interest. Can't put us in a box, though we play in chess. Kings and queens on the board, never say less. I mean, entertaining and educating all my folks. Over the party, catch us at the live show. Live show? Live show? Live show? Yeah, the live show. Entertaining and educating all my folks. Anything. Tell them what we talking about. Anything. Tell them what we talking about. Anything. 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 Welcome to the Soapboxx. Welcome to the Soapboxx. Welcome to the Soapboxx. Anything? Anything. Need a little polishing. Team kinda partisan. TJ the lead, he the arsenal. All together, we just the hottest. Pick a topic for discussion. We gon' rock it for the public. And be honest, this is nothing. Watch the progress, cause it's coming. This is everything you think, but you can't express. We a vessel of the people in innate interest. Can't put us in a box, though we play in chess. Kings and queens on the board, never say less. I mean, entertaining and educating all my folks. Over the party, catch us at the live show. Live show? Live show? Live show? Yeah, the live show. Entertaining and educating all my folks. Tell them what we talking about. Anything. Tell them what we talking about. Anything? Anything. Anything. Welcome to the Soapboxx. Welcome to the Soapboxx. Welcome to the Soapboxx. Anything? Anything. Anything. Welcome to the Soapboxx. 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 Welcome to the Soapboxx.
Yeah. All right. All right. All right. All right. Welcome to the Soapboxx podcast. I am your host, TJ Legacy, and we are back better than ever. I'm joined with my original co-host. I miss them. I missed y'all all the way from, let's start all the way from Duval County. We have Ish. What's going on, Ish? How you been?
Hey everybody, I'm good. Doing self-care, hoping that everyone else is doing the same. How are you doing?
Oh, I mean, look, I'm doing well. I'm actually in really good spirits. I got to be honest with you. Like, I know there's a lot of craziness that's going on in the country, but this is home to me. This is, I'm used to dealing with this type of issues and talking to folks and organizing and stuff. So, people are kind of speaking my language. So I'm actually in a good space. All the way from New York City. What's going on, NY? What's up, Alan? What's good?
Black people, how we feeling, man? I'm all right. I'm alive. I can't complain. I'm happy to be here with y'all today.
Good, man. Good. Listen, that fro is getting there, man. It's getting there. We here.
We on phase 2 of reopening of the COVID fro.
You the Kobe 8.
The Kobe 8 COVID fro phase 2. So it's going to be time to put some grease on here in a little bit and try to twist it up. But
yes, and all the way from Tallahassee, Javonni on the hill. What's up, Javonni?
Hey, what's up?
Just happy to be here, ready to get this conversation going because I know the people is waiting for the juice.
The real. And listen, shout out to all of our new, I would say, people who are our new members of the Soapboxx Nation who have, we got a lot of love this week. Shout out to everybody that, heard me speak down at City Hall. I appreciate that. And, I know everybody's going to talk about their experiences, but, a lot of people, we got a lot of people who are now experiencing the Soapboxx for the first time. So this is the original crew. So I'm going to ask them, I know we went around and said hello, but I want to ask them, go around for them to kind of give you a little synopsis of who they are, just so you can, kind of get familiar with them, because these are my ride or dies. These are my day ones, and we're vastly approaching 1 year on the Soapboxx podcast. So we're out here speaking the truth. So we're going to start with you, Ish. Tell them a little bit about yourselves.
Okay, well, I am a writer. I help small businesses and entrepreneurs market themselves via writing, such as articles, biographies, web pages, or web content, whether it's paragraphs or a few pages. And I have a history with building websites and being a copywriter at a larger company that help individual small businesses build their websites. So and I have a journalism background. Graduated from Howard, woo woo, HU, just got to chat that in, right? Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. An author and book. We'll be discussing that on June 18th. And a mommy of one, and just like a real positive person who encourages individuals to make sure they're taking care of themselves and their mental health.
Yes. And she's also single. So please, the DMs are open. She didn't say that. I know she's being modest. Let her know that she is here to listen to all the post-pandemic players in the DMs. Javonni, tell them a little bit about yourself as well, as people are filing into the chat room.
Yes. So for me, I am a reporter. I live in Tallahassee, Florida. I work for the state, so I cover mostly state politics and things that happen in state government. And I've been doing that for a while now. But other than that, I am a motivational speaker, and I have a YouTube channel. You can follow me at Just Javonni. And then, I'm here with the Soapboxx, and this is a part of what I also love.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Also, before we get started, Jess, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, all the way from Boston. The voice that you hear, the phantom voice that you hear, is Jessica Andrade, all the way from Boston. What's up, Jess?
What's up?
Say what's up to the people. Tell them a little bit about yourself, who you are, because we got a lot of new people watching the Soapboxx, wanted to know. People are filing in. We're heavy in here tonight, so people are ready for that authentic conversation. So tell them a little bit about yourselves, what you do, and your greatness. From the greatness.
Yeah. So, hey, new people, how are you? So, my name is Jessica Andrade. I am. I don't know how to talk about myself. I currently do comedy videos on Instagram for the Cape Verdean community, and also for everyone else that likes to laugh.
Yes.
To my humor that not everyone finds funny, but I do. I'm a mom of 2 boys. I graduated from Bridgewater State University with a communications degree, and I also attended Emerson College in Boston for journalism. I still have 2 more semesters left, but I don't know when I'm going back. But other than that, I'm a mom, and my kids are being loud in the background. So yeah, that's all.
Yes, absolutely. And in NYC, what's up, man? Alan has been with me since day one. For those who are in Orlando, you may recognize him. He's been with me since our days at Valencia, where I was a student government president. This man was host of Town Tuesdays and the senator for what was your title? Senator for
Marketing
activities,
and advertising.
Marketing and advertising. There it goes.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, real quick.
Yes, former Senator of Marketing and Advertisement for Valencia West Campus. Currently, I am up here, technically in Jersey now because I got priced out of New York City. By daytime, I do work for a startup. We do HR, I do client services, account management, all of that good, non-exciting stuff. but personally, I am an artiste. So I do visual and musical arts via hip hop, and you can check me out at Homeless Millionaire on Instagram. And I am a Black man.
Absolutely. Listen, so, and just to give you guys a little bit about me, I'm not the, angry Black man as people may try to perceive me or whatever. I'm just someone who's educated and passionate about my people and my community. I went to Florida A&M University. I am a journalist, guest contributor to the Atlanta Sentinel, featured in the Sun Sentinel, the New York Times, LA Times. I am I write for I'm a member of the Central Florida 100, Central Florida Association of Black Journalists, president of multiple organizations, two-time president of the Student Government Association here in Orlando at Valencia Community College. So, and I'm a political strategist, political organizer. I've been there for the Marquise McLaughlin. I went down there into Tampa to help rally. I've rallied for with FAMU when we rallied to the governor's mansion, went to, give relief items in Flint, Michigan. So where there's been activism, I'm 33 years old, but activism has been the big part of my life for the majority of my life, almost over 16 years. So I'm passionate, I've organized, but I'm passionate about people first. So anything I could do to articulate our experience, the Black experience to you, for our non-Black listeners, or to give you insight to how we can be more politically astute. That's what we're here for. This is the Soapboxx podcast, so that we are speaking. Our interviews are unscripted, they're uncensored, and so our politicians are on here of our guests, from D.L. Hughley to Tony Rock to Kevin on stage to Mayor Jerry Demings to Orange County property appraiser Rick Singh. People have been on the Soapboxx, and two of the attorneys that are on our panel, so that we can have these authentic conversations, grassroots conversations, so that we can lead the way. So that's a little bit about us. But moving on, I want to hear from, and I'm gonna start with you, Alan, because I know did you attend some of the protests? We're all in different areas, so I want everyone to kind of get a grasp of what the new the temperatures like on the grassroots level in your area. So if you could kind of illustrate, what your experience was, or for those who you've talked to on the grassroots level in a place like New York, New Jersey, that area.
So yeah, I attended a protest in Newark, New Jersey as of last weekend.
Yeah.
I didn't really know what to expect. I've been to a bunch of marches before, but this is my first march in Jersey. Some people know, some people may not know, Newark doesn't necessarily have the best reputation as far as violence. And I am now like maybe 5 to 10 minutes away. So I went last Saturday afternoon. First thing, I went right by the downtown city hall. There was a speech right before I started marching. A couple of things I noticed that was a little bit different is essentially everything was, for the most part, self-governed, meaning that when we were marching through the streets, there wasn't a ton of police presence when I was there. So we were kind of able to move a little bit freely for almost an hour, just kind of directing ourselves. The protesters were organizing among themselves where they were going, what streets they were going down. And like I said, there wasn't a ton of police presence, even as we were taking the streets. Even if when we were in the middle of the road stopping traffic, there wasn't a ton of police presence. But there was local presence. And when I say local presence, these are people from Newark that were saying, yo, we're not doing this, we're not doing that, which I'll elaborate later when that became really important. So the only real crazy thing I saw is that, we had a couple people yank down some flags from state poles and burned them.
Confederate flags or American?
No, just American flags. They just yanked them off the pole and they burned them. A couple of locals tried
which is symbolic for them feeling like that flag represents the oppression, their oppression rather than their freedom. So making sure everybody understands the significance of that.
Correct. And then, you know, I was able to witness one of it. Apparently there was another one a little bit later, but the only people who were really trying to stop it was the locals. They were like, listen, we're from here. We don't want you to do that. But they were outnumbered. So that happened. Surprisingly, after the burn happened, we continued to march. So we continued to march. There was a Dunkin' Donuts. There was a couple of people that was eyeing it, trying to get a little rowdy. And then once again, the locals came up, 3 or 4 or 5 of them. I joined with them, arm in arm, locked in. Listen, they said, listen, we're from Newark. We're not going to let you do
You was
this.
protecting the Dunkin' Donuts? He was
Listen.
like, not today. Not my bagel and coffee.
I was a little bit late, but the locals were just like so packed. They're like, listen, no, this is not why we're here. If you're not from Newark, don't come in our communities being crazy. So I, you know, locked in. You know, it was nothing. It was like maybe 30 seconds until people kind of got that out their system. Once again, not a ton of police presence where we were at that time. So that went off without a hitch. We continued another maybe 30 minutes of walking, and to my surprise, we ended up in front of the police station. Now the police station is where they actually had police. If you started off with 2 cars, essentially what they really tried to do is block off the whole street, the whole block. But
absolutely.
We were antsy, and we ended up getting in front of the police station. And then at that point, it multiplied from like maybe 3 cops or 2 cops on each side of the street to maybe 20 police officers. And we were just out there, you know, protesting, saying our piece. There were a couple people on the front lines that I was trying to assist, just kind of make sure to de-escalate the situation, because, you know, and in these situations, this is like seeing police is what triggers these type of things. Right. So if you let people, at least in my situation, if you kind of let people self-govern themselves and just get what they need to get off of their chest amongst each other and amongst the community, it was a little bit more, I would say, effective as far as de-escalation is concerned. Because even when we went to the police station, there was plenty of brothers from Newark. There was a brother in the Black Panther Party from Newark that was like, you know, listen, we're not, leave them alone, protest, but we're not going to do nothing just yelling at the police, which is a hard conversation to have because people really came to yell at the police. And just looking at the police, it's an agitation. And one little wrong move could really almost flip the whole thing. And then so we had people, just somebody got in an argument because he saw a police officer arguing. Like he was ready to fight a police officer because he saw a police officer smiling. And that triggered him to like, yo, how could you smile at a time like this?
And we got to make sure that we tell people that, you know, and that they're looking for, in some instances, in most instances, they're looking for ways to agitate you so that they can do the tear gas and stuff like that, and just say, okay, we're gonna end this whole movement and march and stuff. Real quick, I'm gonna get back to you on that. I want to get, because just you went out there as well, right? To a protest?
I went to the one in Boston, and then also here in my city, they had one in Brockton. The one in Boston was, at first, it was very peaceful. You know, everybody was just walking, marching, chanting. I was trying to do a live video, and I don't know if this happened to you, but my service cut off. Every single time that I would try to record, my service would cut off. But besides that, I mean, as soon as I left, I heard it got like really crazy. Like the cops started shooting rubber bullets and stuff and throwing tear gas. And there was some looting.
Yes, you did.
You said what? What happened? Maybe something, she got cut off. But Javonni, you were out there. I saw you. You were, you know, actually reporting. What was the sense like in Tallahassee, Florida?
In Tallahassee, it was more of a peaceful protest. I mean, outside of people chanting like enough is enough, Black Lives Matter, and I can't breathe, it wasn't a riot. Now, at one point, there was an instance where a weekend protest where this truck decided to pretty much just run through the protesters and try to hit people and So we did have that situation.
I saw that. I
Yep,
saw
we had
that,
that
and they were
situation.
arrested.
Yes, and my only thing was because I wasn't at this one, but I did go to the protest that they had earlier. But in my mind, I just kept thinking like, it's no way possible that y'all let that man go. Like, I mean,
absolutely.
like, I don't understand how he got away from angry Black people. Like, you just ran a car through us. I mean, the worst thing that they did was bust his window. And I'm not inciting violence, but I'm just saying in general that
people have a right to defend themselves.
Yeah, and I know I probably would have, if I was close enough, I would have got a lick or two.
just a lick or two. But they would have been touched up a little bit.
Yeah, you know, but he was unharmed. I don't even think he was arrested. The police department have not released his name. No booking report or anything like that. So it's a little disappointing. And then we had some situations where Black organizations were upset that white organizations were taking the lead on certain protests, and they felt uninvolved, and they were voicing their opinions about like, hey, the next time y'all try to have a visual, how about you consider the Black Lives Matter movement, or before you try to host a visual about things that affect Black people. So it was a nice conversation that I saw just in the comments. And then it got to the point where one of the stations, local stations down here, had to report on it. Like, yeah, there's controversy about this protest because it's led by white organizers. And
let me touch on that, because we've had that down here as well. And here's the reason why, right? It's for non-Black people, when they're organizing these rallies, it comes off when you don't pay respect, or I guess check in, or at least extend an olive branch to the ones that have actually been in the community fighting this fight. It comes off as disingenuous because you're now trending. I think a lot of times where it's offending people is because you're putting on something in someone's community, you're representing and speaking on behalf of us in our experience, and then you're telling us, you're dictating to us how to respond or how to behave at your event in our own city. So it's like you are gentrifying our movement, you're gentrifying the narrative, you're taking the lead, and at that time you're showing your privilege, you're showing your white entitlement. So because at the end of the day, and I wrote something on our Soapboxx page where I talked about the illusionist, and there's a difference between an ally and an illusionist. An ally is someone who's in the trenches with the fight. They're coming to help. They're coming to lend aid to you. They're not coming to say, hey, step aside, let me do this. They're saying, what can I do to help? Lending a helping hand. An illusionist is just going to be somebody who is just here today, gone tomorrow. They're a magician. They're riding the trending waves. They're talking about Black issues. They're the white person or the non-Black person that's just holding the Black Lives Matter sign. And they're all about the symbolism, right? Symbolism is never going to bring us justice, because it's just symbolism. What we really need to do to have our allies get into your communities, get into your space, and dismantle the system of white supremacy, because guess what? Black people didn't create this system. So it's not going to just be Black people. In order for us to dismantle it, white people have to then identify their privilege and then dismantle it from within. And people think oftentimes that racism is just, wearing, and I talked about this in the speech, just wearing a sheet or a hood on your head, right? Or wearing a MAGA hat, or talking with a country twang, or being Southern. No, racism is seeing someone who is non-white being harassed on your job, and you don't say anything, and you don't report it, and you turn a blind eye. Racism is the Black person who tries to get a loan and they're qualified, or tries to get housing and they're denied, and you know that they're being denied because of their pigmentation, but they're going to let the white family in and take the housing that is available. So it's imperative that we have non-Black allies, right, who actually want to put some sweat equity into the movement to actually do some work, and not just say, hey, we're here to protest, we felt bad, take pictures and stuff. and do this whole civil rights movement cosplay where they're just putting on a costume. You know, so that's why there's a disconnect, and it really hurts, and it angers those who are actually in the trenches and in the fight, because you have this idea. It's like, yo, where were you? Where did you? This was going on before George Floyd. We got George Floyd, and we got these same officers that are in Minnesota. We got them in our communities too.
I think there's.
Go ahead, Ish.
I think there's a lot of things that we as Black people have to figure out too, as far as like how we want to move. One, this conversation about where were you? How don't you know? Like, you know, I've actually seen people confused, and to us, it's like, how? Like, how are you confused? Where have you been? But it's a legitimate feeling that some people really don't understand, or they want more information. Like, they see the overt racism, but they don't understand the covert. And when we're talking about systemic and different things that we've experienced, some of them really don't have a clue. So the question that I've started asking my friends who are Black, and some are white, but mostly the Black ones, to answer the question, do we inform or do we ridicule? You know, we have to decide what we want to do. Are we going to laugh at them for not knowing better when they should? You know, like Amanda Seales, for example, she had people reach out to her saying, can you send me some literature, point me in the right direction of where to start to learn it and get more informed about what's going on? And she was like, hell no. She was literally like, fuck y'all, I'm on my trampoline. If you want to know, you take your time, you be responsible, and you go learn. However, I think it will quicken the process if you are a Black person who will, it's your choice, let me make that clear. But if you do have the patience and you want to quicken a process, then I think it's fine to have the discussion if you're okay with it. But I do think we have to decide, what are we going to do? Are we going to inform and have the allies and carry the fight further? Or are we going to ridicule and block them out where they're saying, well, forget it. Like, if we're trying to ask for help and you're like, no, then they just walk away. Like, what is our ultimate goal? And the other side of like what I think Javonni had mentioned earlier that was happening in Tallahassee about the protests. Like, I've literally heard Black people say that white people need to organize and protest as well, with them being the majority. Now, they did say do it in your neighborhoods. Like, don't come to our shit making issues, starting fires, looting and all of that. Like, protest, you organize, you lead, but do it in your neighborhoods as well. So I agreed with that perspective. So I think that we have to be very clear on the details of what we're saying, because saying don't protest at all, the majority, like, don't let it be the majority of white people, I think is not conducive to our goal. Saying protest, organize, but if you do it, make sure you're in your neighborhood talking to your people. I think that's the best way to go about it.
Absolutely. And also share some of those resources as well. Like, when share those resources. Like, I've had white people reach out to me out, you know, after, you know, this week, and it said, listen, the best apology is action. You know, like, you know, don't come talking to me about, you know, teacher, I didn't know and stuff. That's great. And I'm glad that your awareness, but I'm a firm believer in free will. So now that you know, it's kind of like Christianity, where say Jesus will not return, for those who are, for our theologists out there, they said Jesus will not return until everybody has a chance to know his name, right? So it's just like that. So now that you're aware, you can't say that you never knew, right? So now you've been exposed to it. This whole country has been exposed to the anti-Black racism that's been going on, to white supremacy, to the whole country's been faced with the anti-Black policies that are in all of these neighborhoods that are gentrified. I had a really good, I consider someone that I talk with, you know, we usually talk sports, he's a white guy, right? And so he asked me, he's like, listen, how do I, you know, what can I do to help? And I said, you need, teach your friends to care about Black men before they find out that they have athletic ability, right? And so, because they'll cheer these Black men on NFL Sunday and college football and stuff, but a lot of these people, a lot of these athletes are coming to, are from a lot of their communities where there's over policing, and they just happen to get out because they could run high, run fast, and jump high. So we need people to understand, but it's nobody's responsibility as far as a Black person to have African American studies one-on-one in your DMs, and you're wasting times running around in circles for hours and hours and hours, because while you're explaining something to them that they should have been aware of or they should have been engaged with, you are now wasting time and to put that energy towards organizing other things, right? So you can have those conversations, but what I do is I tell people, hey, sit right there. I'm gonna be back, but I got other things to do that takes precedent over educating you. If you don't have enough information now that you feel like you need somebody to stop, wait, and explain it to you before you actually move and do something, then I gotta just leave you right there, because it's time to sprint, it's time to run now.
What about the phrase, the personal is political?
What do you mean?
What does that mean to you?
When they say what?
The personal is political.
I've actually never heard that phrase. Explain.
So,
what context do they use?
Well, it was from Angela Davis, and she wrote, everyone is familiar with the slogan, the personal is political. Not only that, what we experience on a personal level has profound political implications, but that our interior lives, our emotional lives are very much informed by ideology. And we often sometimes do the work of the state in and through our interior lives. So what we often assume belongs most intimately to ourselves and to our emotional life, which has been produced elsewhere and has been recruited to do the work of racism and repression. And then she put hashtag freedom is a constant struggle. And I was thinking, I wonder if she meant like nobody will understand this if it was never a part of your personal life.
Yeah, basically your politics has to affect you personally, right? So people choose, or they support things, or they vote based upon how things affect them in their everyday lives. Similar to, and I saw someone put on social media, they said racism is like COVID, like you can, like you can catch it, but everybody likes to act like it doesn't exist until it hits them, until they're inflicted with it, right? Inflicted with its symptoms. And I thought that was pretty profound. I agree, but I just don't believe that you have to make politics personal to you. It is with things that affect you, your community, your people, your livelihoods. But I don't think it's like Ish's point. It's not Black folks' responsibility to sit down and teach white folks about something that their ancestors created. They created the system, right? So it has to be an internal thing where you're like, I have to identify my privilege. There's enough out there. We live in a social media age. There's enough out there that you can go on to and research things. There's enough videos. So for you to just leave it on the onus of Black people, like, well, if they're not going to teach me, that's like in anything. If someone doesn't teach you, you're just going to just be ignorant to the fact. No, you need to go and do your research. You need to go and understand. And that's why these Black folks don't want people leading, because you can't lead what you don't know. So that's what I mean. You can't, if you don't understand your own privilege, you don't understand the plight of this community that are directly impacted, then why are you leading these demonstrations? What can you tell me about me? You understand where I'm coming from with that?
Yeah, I think that same sentiment is echoed by white people. Like, if you can't understand why you are in a situation that you're in, then why do you? And I'm just, they're saying the same thing. Like, if you living in the hood, I don't like, if you haven't figured out why you live in the hood still for 35 years, why should I figure that out? No, but
I disagree. I think we're.
No, I'm not saying that at all. No, I know why, but I'm saying,
I think you're playing devil. I don't think
white people.
Argument. But the thing is that's the misconception. White people aren't confused about racism. Black people are. We're the ones that when something happens to them, like, gee, why? We walk around like, I wonder why did that happen? We're the ones that's confused. They know racism. Racism is taught. So if they're taught racism, they're at an early age, they know. By the time they're like,
so it's fake.
Yeah, that fake. I didn't know. You know that you wasn't good for that position, and that other person who worked on you, they know. But it's that whole benign neglect.
I don't think all of them know, TJ. I know some people who, like, through other Black people who sincerely, they are confused, because that's what I held the same position you held until I read these people's comments. Like, you know, one of my brothers, a lot of his colleagues and friends are white. And he has like a post he made about what if it was him, right? He said he hashtagged his own name as if he was the next Black man who was killed due to police brutality. And like, it was over 500 of his friends like commenting and liking and just saying like, you just brought this home for me. Like, now we care because we know you, this Black man. And I was just reading their comments like, oh my gosh, like they sincerely don't know, because it doesn't affect them unless they know that one
I would say that I agree with you.
Who they've led in, you know. And if we're not that one individual, if they're on the straight and narrow, so to say, or doing the right things, or we're not necessarily facing police brutality or just talking about it with our white friends, they don't know that it's even happening to us. Like, I have friends, I haven't talked about the story that I told you guys about, who are white. They don't even know. And we're their only connection. Like, I don't want to say token, but that one or two or whatever number of Black people they do know, if we're not even discussing the stories and they're already oblivious and detached from our community, I think it's true when they're confused. Like, and I don't think they should be. I just think they're telling the truth.
I just think that at this point, ignorance is a choice. You know, I think ignorant. I think, and I'm not saying, like, you may have people that maybe need to go deeper into educating, but for them to not understand the basics of what racism is or the basics of what white supremacy is, I think that they're very much aware of their privilege or of what surrounds them in the bubble that they're in. They're aware of that. But I do agree to your point as far as the effects that it has on other people. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like I said, downtown, I said, the peace that y'all have when you go into predominantly African-American areas, you don't know that the peace that they create for you is the hell for us economically, and with all our, you know, with businesses and everything. They don't know that. So, because they're leaving and they're thinking, wow, that was a great event. That was a great football game. All the stadiums are in Black areas anyway. So they're like, oh, that's great. Time to go back to where we live. And then boom, you know. So I think that's a conversation that is an ongoing thing. And I don't mind having conversations with white people about privilege, entitlement, or even white supremacy, but I don't believe in revisionist history or just blatant lies. Like, if I'm painting a picture and you're just doing that, I don't understand. I don't get it. And trying to be contrary just to be contrary, then you're just trying.
You're not trying to really understand. And exactly. And I have stated, like, if you don't know by now, you don't want to know, or you're so unbothered and unaffected that you've never had to learn more. But that's why I asked the question. So at this point, we all understand it's not our responsibility, right? We all know that. But the question still remains, because now we're dealing with people who are uninformed, who are being sincere and actually want to help for real. That question becomes, for me, do we inform so they can help and mobilize with us, or do we send them on their merry way to learn on their own time? Like, and it will be different. The answer is it's going to be different for everyone. Each individual, I think, will decide.
Yeah, I think everyone has like everyone has. To me, it's like it's an ecosystem. Everybody's strengths are different. One person's strength may be patience, to where they can take the time out and be like, okay, this is what you should be doing. And one person may not. And I don't think one person is wrong and one person is right. I do think, and I'm sure there's some sites out there that have this, but I do think that we do have to come up with some way to start centralizing information for people within our community and without our community, because YouTube is a rabbit hole that you can get down, and you may fuck around and end up watching the wrong thing and end up miseducating yourself with the good intentions. But also something I wanted to say is that recently I was looking at a map where Black people, it was dots. It was essentially a map where Black people are stationed where they live in the United States. And I don't think that a lot of people realize, or within our community, because a lot of things are really obvious to us, I don't think that a lot of people realize that the majority, land-wise and probably population-wise, doesn't necessarily come encounter with Black people on a regular basis. So
yeah, they don't have. There's areas they don't have to like that. All the
and this
Tiger
is just
King
a lot
people.
of this. A lot of this is just proximity too, right?
Yeah.
And it's just because we're not in so many. We are, we just because our impact is so powerful, we still forget that we're only 13% of the U.S. So just for proximity wise, a lot of people don't know because, like you said, they haven't had these experiences. And I think about the amount of times that I was the only Black person in a class of mine or a job of mine, and I'm just kind of like this domino. And so now you're outnumbered 90-1 or 50-1, and these people are living their lives where it's a 50-1 minority or a 50-1 majority, I would say. And there's so many people like that within the United States because, they are the majority. So a lot of times I do believe people when they say, I didn't know any of this is happening because they're not having these conversations. And a lot of times it's not, ignorance is bliss, yes. But just proximity, it's like, I try to think about why they haven't had these experiences or why they don't know these things. And I say that because I see so many Black people now that are just coming into their consciousness and they're late bloomers at 20. Yeah. So it's like if our own people are still educating themselves in their middle or their late 20s, we can't even expect white people who have been the majority of their whole lives and haven't had these conversations or these families, or they're not in an area that's predominantly Black, because majority of the time Black people are living within the same area. So if you're not in those areas, it's kind of like we're like mythical creatures. So I don't expect them to know as much, even though they should. And I think that's where social media is kind of exposing and spreading the light on everything.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it because we talked about proximity. I think that's a great segue for a segment we like to call on this show, Keep or Cancel. Basically, it's a play on cancel culture that we have here currently in our current climate. And our first subject for Keep or Cancel, and you guys let us know if we should keep or cancel, is Drew Brees. Drew Brees is an NFL quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. He's a future Hall of Famer. He came out recently and he's got some backlash because he came out and said he doesn't agree with kneeling during the national anthem. We're still having this conversation. Yes. And he said that he thinks it's, he's for respecting the flag. So he got a lot of backlash. And of course, the anthem protest was made famous by Colin Kaepernick, who decided to take a knee when he played for the San Francisco 49ers. And he was subsequently whiteballed out of the NFL and is still a free agent, but is unsigned virtually because of his protest that he took against racism and police brutality. So Drew Brees has since, after the backlash from Malcolm Jenkins, after the backlash he received from athletes like Richard Sherman, even Aaron Rodgers spoke out about, understanding why this is going on. Here we have a white man who is in a predominantly African-American league. You talk about proximity, and he's still talking, even after Colin Kaepernick said that, the kneeling was not to disrespect the flag, and they changed the narrative. Are we keep or canceling Drew Brees? I'm gonna start with Alan.
Wow. What is just in this instance, I think it's a little bit more complex than keep or cancel. I mean, this is not someone that I necessarily.
That's the game. That is the game we're playing, sir. You know the rules. It's keep or cancel, right, Javonni? It's keep or cancel. He's trying to make other rules. He know the game.
No. I mean, I'm
canceling.
Like for me, I'm not a Saints fan. We can cancel him. We can toss him out. I think that we could definitely cancel him. I think that I think it's amazing how and we speak about proximity, how you can still be in these places for 25 years and still just completely miss it. And,
but that's the thing is, did he miss it though? Or is he's choosing? It's a choice.
No. Well, I was going to say, the thing is, I don't think he feels as if he is apologizing because a lot of people that he cared for and his profession feel a way about what he said. I don't believe that his sentiment has changed. I think he understands that the timing was bad. And I think he understands that what he said almost felt extremely insensitive just because of the times that we're in. So in that sense, and knowing how other people are feeling about it, he's sorry because of that. Do I feel that his stance has changed within the last 24 hours as far as the flag is concerned? Absolutely.
Am I too tough? Javonni, are we keeping or canceling Drew Brees? Do you buy his apology? Are we forgiving Drew Brees and moving on, or are we keeping or canceling?
I feel like he apologized too quick, so he didn't even really think about it, so he canceled. Like, how you apologize that quick? You must already knew you were doing something wrong.
He had to realize that, hey, I'm an undersized white quarterback who was also photographed sitting down and being chummy with Trump. And he got black offensive linemen in a predominantly African-American league, and he needs them to protect him. So maybe that has something to do with it. I think that had a lot to do with it.
He's what do you like to say, TJ? The sheep clothing thing. What is it?
A wolf in sheep clothing. Like he's
in sheep clothing. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna say that, but
yeah. Are we keeping Drew Brees or are we canceling him? Y'all let us know in the chat room too. I see a lot of canceled. Who else? Yeah. Are we keeping or canceling Drew Brees?
For the sake of the game, I have to make a decision because it's not here there for me.
You guys are falling too.
I will because I would cancel the fact that he even included that in this argument and in these protests and what we're doing right now, because he included it. It was unnecessary altogether to chime in with that nonsense. We're gonna have to cancel him.
All right, cool. Because look, he didn't have to say it. No one sat in. No, the NFL season hasn't even started.
Exactly. Why was that even a statement?
No one asked.
It wasn't unprovoked. It was a conversation he was having on Zoom, and they did ask him about it because he spoke about it before. But essentially, he just doubled down.
You know why I'm canceling him? Because Drew Brees during the season took a knee with his other players. Mm-hmm. So why would you take a knee twice with your players in solidarity for their protests if you still think the same thing of taking a knee during the anthem is disrespectful to the flag? So,
well, you know what?
But listen. Honestly, why is he so triggered? This goes back to doing the education, right? He's a student of the game. You can't study, and that just shows you that he's cool with black labor and profiting off of black labor and his teammates to get that nice contract in the life that he has. But when it comes to their issues or their plights that they face, when they leave that football stadium, they are just black men. It don't matter if they're in the NFL. They're just big black men in the eyes of law enforcement. So for him to come out and say, well, I don't want anybody to disrespect the flag, it's ignorant. He's canceled. I hope he gets sacked. And that's Jameis's team now. And I hope New Orleans gives Jameis all the crab legs and butter sauce and gumbo that he got.
That's my no. I'm ready to get a Jameis Winston Saints jersey.
Yeah. That's Jameis's. To me, that's Jameis's team. It should have been Teddy Bridgewater. So we're gonna go on to our next person that we're keeping. Oh, this one we got a clip. Alan, Trina.
Well, listen, this is just this is actually a broader point. As far as that, I guess we're not going to get into today as far as these black celebs kind of missing the mark right now. But Trina, most recently, was under fire because she went on a radio show with her and Trick Daddy. Mm-hmm. She addressed some of the people, the protesters, the looters as thugs and animals. And the most telling part is she said, which we're hearing in the clip, she said, anytime I'm pulled over, I got my license and my registration. I'm never scared.
So let's go ahead. We're going to look at Javonni. Let me go ahead and play the clip for y'all. Give me 1 second. Here we go. This is Trina.
And I'm living in the life of it. It's no comparison. I feel the same way. It's no exception. A life is a life. Period. Okay. A life is a life. No matter how it was, whether it was a car accident, whether it was from a police, whether it was from the hands of another black man, a life was taken. Simple.
I gotta get this. All right. I'm glad you said period. Trick.
Fired Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin has been arrested and charged with third-degree murder and manslaughter. Okay, third-degree murder means a homicide committed with the intention of causing bodily harm, but not necessarily death. If convicted, he could get 25 years in prison or a murder charge up to 10 years in prison for manslaughter. And that's supposed to justify everything, right? Like, are you going to put him in a death chair? Because otherwise, all the rest of the stuff y'all doing don't make sense to me. That's what I'm saying. Now, I have so much to say, Miami. I am fired up. I am pissed off, and I am ready today. So
be careful
that's
what
it.
you say.
I don't have to be careful what I say. I'm a grown person, and I'm not contradicting myself at all. I know what I want to say. I have everything I want to say, and not you, and nobody else ain't gonna tell me how to say it. This morning, Monday morning, I am ready. I'm ready to speak and say what I gotta say. All y'all fake for the protesters and the fake. Oh, we so concerned about George Floyd. Half of y'all are marching. I'm not even caring about this man. People are just doing it maliciously.
Everybody wasn't looting and burning up stuff.
Yeah.
So you cannot compare what other people are doing to the people that are using this for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
Because it's a handful of them. It's only a handful of them. The rest of us are tired of it. When the police get behind you and the red and blue lights come on, you're not supposed to be scared. You're not supposed to be scared.
I'm never scared. I have my license and registration and insurance. I'm not scared. I know my rights.
Everybody that got killed by the police.
Exactly.
Well, that's
not necessarily. Not necessarily.
That's it for Trina's tea.
All right. So that was Trina playing the harmonica on her radio show. All right, Alan, take it away. This is your one. Ask the question. Put it to the jury.
Jury of the people, my brother and my sisters.
Yes.
How are we feeling, Trina? Now, she did double back today.
Oh, she did, didn't she?
Oh, yes. First thing this morning, she apologized. She said, the normal, my words are taken out of context. We heard you, baby. But to the jury, Trina, keep or cancel. My sisters, I really want to hear from y'all.
Let's go to Ish first. Ish, are we keeping or canceling Trina?
Let me start with this. I think that her thoughts were not sorted out. I don't think they were thought through. I don't think they were completely expressed. It was imprudent. But because of that, I would allow for her to go home, think about what she was saying, finish her thoughts, give it some balance and complete them, because to me it was just like very hasty, and she just wasn't being considerate. So with that said, I don't think she's like against Black men, or I don't think she's confused about racism in our community. I think she has a personal experience that can be different, and she was talking about that. And so with that said, I'll get straight to it. I think we can keep her for now.
Boy, y'all be doing some splaining when y'all try to keep somebody. Y'all be pleading. Yeah. Javonni,
she just need to get.
Are we keeping or canceling Trina?
Hey man, I don't want nobody to cancel me if I keep her.
Javonni gonna be in Tallahassee. Can we all get along? And we gonna be like Javonni Hampton, keep her canceled.
Right. I'm like, Trina said some stuff that shouldn't have been said. Like, leave that for the leave that for the coons, to be calling looters, animals and stuff like that. Like that type of language does not need to come out of our mouth. Yep. It's just like, really, Katrina, like, really, no, that is not what you need to be talking about.
Are you keeping or canceling her?
Oh man, can I cancel? I don't know. I think she could be canceled until Sunday.
She on probation?
Yeah, she got to be on probation.
That's not the game. Y'all know that's not the game. She need to get locked up.
But no, she was upset. I mean, listen.
Hold on.
Okay.
Alan showed me brought me the clip. All right, y'all. Let's listen.
We got breaking news of the apology, y'all. We got breaking news. We're gonna bring you to both sides.
Let's look at Trina's apology before we cancel. She's pleaded to the court, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to her. Okay, Trina, what do you have to say?
Trina's word, I'm automatically speaking for black people. I am the black people. Right. I am black people. That's who I'm speaking for. And I'm not going to say black people are animals. I'm not, but I didn't say that, hey, my black people or all of my people. I'm not talking of you, not the protests, not those that are trying to make change. And this is why the day after when we spoke to the commissioner, I said to Trick, well, I learned a lot more about what's really happening and what, you know, because I'm trying to understand what's the solution. What is the answer to everything that's happening? And it's more than just in the streets or people, you know, doing whatever. It's the commissioners, it's the governors, the mayors, all these people. It's the chief of police. I had no idea of that. So now I'm understanding that. And these are the people that has to protect the cities. And so now these are the people that you go and you want to talk to. You want answers from. You want all this. You want change. This has been built up to try to make it look better. So that's just where I was speaking from. Not a store, not nothing, nobody's fancy car, none of that. I don't care about that. I'm just speaking from where I felt that, you know, things that I saw. I'm not calling nobody's color or anything. The gap was, I didn't say, you know, black people, my people. And I would never say that or call black people animals or any name. Like, I am a black person. I must be an animal. I must be the same person. I mean, that's not who I am.
Right.
A real Trina friend, fan, or somebody that really know her can't forgive her. I get where you were coming from.
He came to too.
With the rioting.
Well, Trina, we love you, and
right,
you know, like
that's enough of that. I have enough evidence, Your Honor.
Cancel.
Your Honor, I have enough. I have enough. That's why they can't put me on the jury.
You said we had to give her some time to gather her thoughts. The thoughts was gathered.
I'm gonna tell you what was gathered. Her biscuits that she saw going out the window when she realized that she's in Miami, and that she talk about, oh, I would never call anybody an animal. This is coming from somebody that is referred to herself as the baddest bitch on, you know, the baddest bitch out there. That's literally an animal. You have called yourself an animal for your entire career and made a career out of it, which shows the ignorance that you had. You're emotional because of the store that your friend got, and I'm sorry when we're dealing with anti-black racism and an anti-black war against people who are trying to be treated like humans. I'm sorry that that's happened. Hopefully, the person has insurance. However, when you said that whole I get pulled over and I got a license and I'm good. That just shows you your disconnect and your the disconnect not only with your blackness, but social status, because you think because you have a certain status or prestige or celebrity that you are going to be treated any different. So
she wasn't even making sense. I mean, she wasn't making sense to me.
But you know what? Most ghetto rhetoric don't make sense, and she has a platform where she's spewing it. Go ahead, Ish.
I wouldn't attack her with all the names, especially because I'm for, and y'all gonna be like, shut up, but I am for uplifting black women. I really think that she's
that's her name. That's what she calls herself.
She's not, and that's the argument that's given to us. So, you know, that's whatever.
Okay.
She's not an intellect. And so what I will say is there was a point in my life where when I was younger, I'm not Trina, but I'm just saying your particular situation can have you feel different. When I was younger, 18 and at UF and stuff, like a college student, I didn't go there, but like visiting my friends who were college students, and I got pulled over like for speeding. I've gotten pulled over in Tallahassee for speeding. Those initial interactions with officers, I wasn't afraid. I literally was just like, find your license, find your registration, and wait for them to walk up. But after things got more heated, I grew older. I was in different environments. I've experienced different things, you know. Then Trayvon Martin happened and Jordan Davis happened. All these things, crazy things are happening. It wasn't until after those events so that I got pulled over one time in South Carolina for the same reason, speeding. I need to calm down, yes. But I was terrified. We know you
in these streets like that.
I was terrified because even in Sandra Bland story, like all this stuff that happened, I was terrified because it's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're young. It doesn't matter if you're fresh out. It doesn't matter if it's a traffic violation. You know, back then you're thinking, oh, if it's like I got caught speeding like this, I'll get my little ticket and keep on going about my merry way. Initially, I wasn't afraid, but then I learned that ticket or that traffic violation or whatever, your light being out, could literally turn into you dying. Yeah, it's like it instilled fear and it changed my perspective on how I view a stop by officers. And with Trina, I do think she's detached. I think that the lifestyle that she's in now, and I think she's detached. I think she was saying, like, she doesn't experience that. I do think it was a misstep of hers to try to negate or contradict what Trick Daddy was saying as far as like what a black male's experience might be. Like, that's where I think her error was, not listening to him and what he was saying. Well, other people do experience this, and this is what we're fighting for. I think she stepped over his words. She didn't let him express that thoroughly, but I don't think that she's against people. I just think she's not intellectual, and she wasn't being patient. She wasn't listening, and she was just really talking about her own experience and not like thinking about an experience outside her own.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that Trina by herself came to the conclusion, was like, you know what, that was a little much? Or do you think somebody brought Trina's ass to an office and say, listen, if you don't clean this up, this, you know, it's going to be bad for you, and because people are trying to get you off of this show?
I don't even think she would have had the opportunity to think to herself, because she was immediately attacked by everyone. And I'm pretty sure she saw something. Trick could have pulled her over right then and there after the show and talked to her. So to answer your question, of course people talked to her because they were heated when she said that stuff. And on point, people started saying stuff like, what the F?
As
even Trick
should.
Was saying it, trying to correct her or redirect, as they should. I'm not disagreeing with him. And I understand. I'm just saying, I don't think she was having an intellectual experience and conversation. And at the same time, I don't think she's like, go kill black men. Like, I don't think she's like, yeah, these officers should be walking around shooting black men and killing them and putting their knees on their necks till they die.
No, I just think that
I do think she's removed.
Yeah,
she's removed and detached.
Every black person has to go through their Negro wake-up call, right? And some people need that some people hit the snooze button and that alarm goes off a little too late, right? So, you know, her maybe getting her job, maybe her job is in jeopardy or whatever, maybe that hit the snooze button. But everybody, when you're young, you don't really experience, like me, I was unfortunately, I experienced racism very young, probably in like the third grade was my first racism, experience with racism that I recognized, like, whoa, there was something different here, you know? So, but yeah, I think y'all giving them too much. I think she popped off, and they got to be responsible when you're talking about black issues. And I'm glad that we're getting into the culture where people are, when you get off code and you say stuff like that, you know, that's disrespectful to people like to women like Sandra Bland. You know, she wasn't, you know, talk about, because you're trying to diminish other people's plight in their experience, right? So, you know, for me, I'm good. I'm canceling her. Anybody else on Trina? Anybody else want to save her or have any thoughts on Trina?
I'm not saving her, but I'm just saying, just in general, like I feel like sometimes some black people just can't have money, and when they do get it, they say what they want to say, and
yeah,
that's
you
just
see it
what
all the
it
time.
is.
And she was popping off, or whatever. Like, okay, go ahead. And then people need to understand, we're not at this time.
Yeah, she thought she was gonna be on her side, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, you have something to say? You're muted.
I know we got some other things to get to, so we're gonna put this on the docket. But that is a conversation that we need to have in the very near future, just because of people like T.I. and Killer Mike and The Dream, and ironically, a lot of people from Atlanta kind of caught flack due to their views and what they were saying.
I want to ask you, and I know we're kind of diverting from, the topics that we kind of want to touch on, but what did y'all think about I wish I could pull it up real quick, but like the T.I. and Killer Mike's response to and Mayor Keisha Bottoms' response in Atlanta when Atlanta was going through their protests and some of the looting and rioting that was going on in Atlanta.
Well, I have a little bit of elaborate, so I'm going to let you guys go first.
Can somebody talk about it? I missed that.
Oh, you meant okay. I wish I should have had that queued up. But let's continue to move move forward, we have the NFL. So the NFL put out a statement, and they said, this is what the statement said. The NFL talked about the protests. Let me go ahead and share the screen. Hold on here. Yeah, the NFL put out a statement. And this is their statement here. All right. Let me move this here. I'm trying to make it bigger. Give me a second. I don't know why I did that. Oh, there it goes. It says the NFL family is greatly saddened by the tragic events across our country. The protesters' reaction. I'm actually not gonna read this because y'all know how I'm gonna feel already. But for the case of journalism, the protesters' reactions to these incidents reflect the pain, anger, and frustration that so many of us feel. Our deepest condolences go out to the family of Mr. Floyd and to those who have lost loved ones, including their families of the families of Breonna Taylor and Louisville, and Mr. Ahmaud Arbery, the cousin of Tracy Walker of the Detroit Lions. As current events dramatically underscore, there remains much more to do as a country and as a league. These tragedies inform the NFL's commitment and our ongoing efforts. There remains an urgent need for action. We recognize the power of our platform and the communities, and as part of the fabric of American society, we embrace the responsibility and are committed to continuing the important work to address these systemic issues together with our players, clubs, and partners. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, that was his the NFL's statement. So they got some backlash because you guys understand, but people said, well, what about Colin Kaepernick? So this should be, we'll see. Okay. Keep or cancel the NFL's statement, Javonni.
I think I'm gonna keep it. I know, right? Is that a moment?
You're not gonna elaborate? No, elaborate. Just okay. We'll move on. Ish, keep or cancel NFL statement of support.
I did not hear all of it. What's the gist?
They basically said, we hear you. We're going to use our platform to be there for you guys. And we our deepest condolences to the latest victims of violence, Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd.
I think I would be jumping the gun if I say anything right now, because for that particular statement, you really would have to see if there's going to be changed behavior. You know, if there's really going to be action in order for me to determine, you know, if it's a keep.
And who do we hold accountable?
You know what I'm saying? Like that has to play out.
Alan, keep or cancel. So are you canceling? Are you canceling or are you keeping Ish?
I'm gonna keep an eye on them.
Y'all,
you like that?
Listen, we have not been together for a while. Y'all on the fence. That is not what we do. Y'all know that's off brand.
I know.
That is off brand. Who are these people? Alan, keep or cancel the NFL statement.
I mean, the NFL and their statements have been canceled for a while. I think a lot of this is kind of a slap in the face, knowing that we know in regards to their stance on any kind of protest in the most mild-mannered way possible. So I can't necessarily. You're not going to get me to believe that you guys have had a change of heart within the last 2 years or so.
So that's a what?
I said cancel.
Okay. All right.
So you're saying that we're canceling the NFL? Like
no. I'm talking about their statement. Anymore. No, there's
a statement.
Oh, okay, just a statement. Okay.
All right, yeah. So for me, y'all, the NFL can get the fuck out of here with that statement because y'all are denying a man work and employment because he stood for the same things you talk about you standing in solidarity with, and you understand their pain, which you really don't. You're just saving face. I think we're giving people way too much in this space, that we're giving them people the benefit of the doubt who really don't deserve the benefit of the doubt. So I'm canceling this statement. They really should have just sat this one out. I would have been actually cool with that. Yeah, I'm canceling them on that. Real quick, hold on. I think I think I found the clip of Mayor Bottoms. I want to play some of it. And I want to let's do keep her, cancel her, because there are some people that are upset about what she was saying. So let's play that. And if you're in the comment section, for those who are sticking with us, make sure you let us know, keep her, cancel, or we can't keep her, cancel the NFL statement. I'm gonna go to this one.
Let me just speak to what's happening here today. Above everything else, I am a mother. I am a mother to 4 Black children in America, one of whom is 18 years old. And when I saw the murder of George Floyd, I hurt like a mother would hurt. And on yesterday, when I heard there were rumors about violent protests in Atlanta, I did what a mother would do. I called my son and I said, "Where are you?" I said, "I cannot protect you, and Black boys shouldn't be out today. So you're not going to out-concern me and out-care about where we are in America." I wear this each and every day, and I pray over my children each and every day. So what I see happening on the streets of Atlanta is not Atlanta. This is not a protest. This is not in the spirit of Martin Luther King Jr. This is chaos. A protest has purpose. When Dr. King was assassinated, we didn't do this to our city. So if you love this city that has had a legacy of Black mayors and Black police chiefs and people who care about this city, where more than 50% of the business owners in Metro Atlanta are minority business owners. If you care about this city, then go home and pray that somebody like Reverend Beasley will come and talk to you and give you some instructions on what a protest should look like and how you effectuate change in America. This police chief made a video on yesterday, pull it up on YouTube, where she said she was appalled to watch the murder of George Floyd. This woman did that. You're not honoring the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. and the civil rights movement. You're not protesting anything running out with brown liquor in your hands, breaking windows in this city. T.I. and Killer Mike own half the West Side. So when you burn down this city, you're burning down our community. If you want change in America, go and register to vote. Show up at the polls on June 9th. Do it in November. That is the change we need in this country. You are disgracing our city. You are disgracing the life of George Floyd and every other person who has been killed in this country. We are better than this. We're better than this as a city. We are better than this as a country. Go home. Go home. In the same way I couldn't protect my son on yesterday, I cannot protect you out in those streets. You're throwing knives at our police officers. You are burning cars. You have defaced the CNN building. Ted Turner started CNN in Atlanta 40 years ago because he believed in who we are as a city. There was a Black reporter who was arrested on camera this morning who works for CNN. They are telling our stories, and you are disgracing their building. This is not the legacy of civil rights in America. This is chaos and we're buying into it. This won't change anything. We're no longer talking about the murder of an innocent man. We're talking about how you're burning police cars on the streets of Atlanta, Georgia. Go home. Let me just speak.
She told you, Alan. Anyway, that was Mayor Bottoms of Atlanta, who is a family rattler, by the way. I just wanted to, throw that out there just for GP. Out there, this was after the riots that were happening in the protest, the riots, and the looting that was happening in Atlanta. So she got some backlash for that speech. People didn't really like the tone. They didn't like what she had to say. So I'm gonna start with Ish. Ish, Lord. Ish, are we keeping canceling, Ish? I'm messing with you. Are we keeping or canceling? You're unmuted.
Okay, I was muted, yes. To me, it sounds like she's specifically pinpointing a certain group of people, which are the ones she believes is out there without any purpose. They're just out there, and maybe in her mind, having fun, taking advantage of the cause. It seems like she's saying there's no direction and they don't have a purpose. Whereas we're going to use the clip that you played earlier with Trina when Trick Daddy was saying that's a handful of people. I do believe there are people who aren't guided and they don't have purpose. However, I do also know that that's not the majority of what's been going on. I do think there are peaceful protests that are going on. And I think that regardless of however each individual has chosen to express themselves or show that they're fed up, it's still communicating and making people aware. I do think that the looting and the fires and all that it's going to naturally come on its own. Like, you can't burn stuff for the next 50 years.
So are we keeping it canceling?
Okay, so to answer your question, because I understand these are I think these are specific things that they're pinpointing, and she's for the cause. She's giving valid points. Like, these people, the CNN reporters, are reporting your stories. There's no real reason to be defacing their building. Like, what is your goal outside of making people aware? Do you know what you're doing? I feel like she's asking. So for that matter, I'm not gonna throw her away for trying to bring.
We're talking about the speech, not her. The speech.
Yeah, the speech. Like, what she's saying seems like she's trying to communicate. What are you doing? What's your purpose? And I'm not going to cancel her based on asking a question like that or saying something like that. I think she is trying to bring focus to what you're doing. Make sure what you're doing makes sense for our cause. And since she's not against it and she's for us, and it's Atlanta, it is all black. Don't destroy the city. It's all us there. Like, what are you doing? When it's literally all our stuff and it's literally the owners and musicians and it's literally black run. So I'm going to keep her.
All right, Alan, keep it canceled. Mayor Bottom's speech.
I think she is the mayor. I don't understand what people wanted from her. So you can. I would say the speech itself, it was ill-timed and probably insensitive. And I'm just speaking as someone who, if I'm coming from this perspective, who is from someone who's on the ground. Then I would have to cancel the speech itself just because of that. But at the same time, she's the mayor. She's not going to say anything to put in favor of or put a battery in anyone's back as far as them continuing to do it. That clip was something I was speaking about earlier because T.I. and Killer Mike were also in that meeting. And essentially, they kind of had the same roundabout message, which they felt as if the way that Atlanta is structured, that the city of Atlanta specifically didn't deserve that. And mind you, this is coming off a couple of days where other cities were being looted, or should I say had looters, and there was destruction. And essentially they kind of felt as if the city of Atlanta should be exempt from that. And there was a lot of backlash in regards to that. And even though we understand that there's a lot of Black celebrities in Atlanta, I was reading where the city of Atlanta has some of the widest gap as far as income equality is concerned. So there is although we know a lot of people from Atlanta, they come from cultures and backgrounds that look like us, there is still a big gap between the quote unquote black bourgeoisie or the black elite and the people who are on the ground. And those people have to be listened to as well. Like I said, she's the mayor. It's her job to make that speech. She's not going to be okay with people ruining her town. She still has to protect the police. She's still going to have to run again. So there's only but so much she can do and say in that space. So I'm not going to cancel her.
Javonni, is she canceled, or are we keeping the speech? Not her, but the speech. Are we keeping or canceling?
I think the speech was genuine. She was in a bad spot. I feel like deep down inside, that's why she kept like, you know, like, I'm a mom, like, I know how y'all feel. Like, she really was saying, like, black people, please don't do this to me, y'all, please. But the
like,
thing
don't
is,
put on my job, messing things up on my job.
Yeah, you know, like, come on, y'all, like, why y'all doing that? But at the same time, I think that she knows that the looters are not watching the news. So she was really just talking to the people sitting on the couch and the older people who not going out to protest, and maybe they're going to tell their grandkids. But other than that, the looters and the protesters are not the same people. And I highly doubt that people who are looting, I don't think that they have the same motive as some people who are protesting. So, you know, I think she had, like Alan is saying, she had to stand up for Atlanta. And I agree with, I didn't see the conversation with T.I., but well, I don't agree that I don't think any city is exempt from being looted. But I think that because those huge political platforms exist in Atlanta, like CNN, and even though they be kind of for the people, people want to attack stuff like that because it's so much power like within those companies. And it's just like, you're here, but what are you really doing for us? Like, clearly this was a message to Atlanta that as much as they think they're helping the people, they are not, because people are destroying Atlanta. So it's a lot of people out there who feel like Atlanta is not for them. And we need to recognize who those people are. And they may be people who are deprived or in poverty or, you know, whatever. But I think she probably should have addressed that too. Like, for those of you who are hurting or, you know, in these financial burdens, because we know that those usually who the looters are. I don't think peaceful protesters do this type of stuff, but so I'm gonna keep her speech, but I'm gonna keep her speech. It was straight to the point.
I'm gonna keep it, but I'm gonna put her on probation, which means I'm looking at you. All right, I understand you're the mayor. I understand you have a job to do. I understand that there's certain, you know, that she has to say those things. She has to say, go home and stuff. But this goes back to the conversation about peaceful protests versus convenient protests, right? They're supposed to be protests in nature. They're supposed to be civil unrest. Now, I'm only going to focus on the protesters. Like, they're always going to be looters, right? And those looters you need to differentiate the difference between a looter and a rioter, or someone who's actually out there protesting. And what I didn't like about the speech was that she kind of she lumped everybody in and told everybody to go home. It would have been different if she said, hey, if we catch you looting, you know, you point them out, we're going to lock them up because we need to make sure that we keep everybody safe, and that, you know, in that kind of context. But when she goes out there and says, oh, everybody go home, and wagging the finger about what Dr. King was shot. Okay, he was killed, and he was nonviolent, right? So you can't sit there and say y'all are not honoring and I hate that, because this movement is not, this modern day civil rights movement is not the civil rights movement of the 60s. And for so long in this country, we have glorified the 60s civil rights movement because black folks was getting their ass kicked. And it's something to look at as we're glorifying that. Oh, they done took all that beating on Edmund Pettus Bridge, and they got beaten, and they sang Negro spirituals, and that's how they got. That's the miseducation that they like to tell people. Like, oh, you just endure mistreatment, and then that's how you get civil rights. Like, that's not the case. And so to tell people that they're not honoring Dr. King or his legacy and what. And poor bishop or pastor that was in the background, when she was like, y'all need to ask pastor how to march and protest, and he just looked at her like, Like, like he's like, I don't know why y'all just woke me out of bed for this. He should have been home. Yeah. So I was like, yeah. So to me, I was like, all right, yeah, I'm not gonna cancel you, but I'm gonna keep my eye. I like her. I think she's one of the people that should also be in the running to be Joe Biden's vice, VP pick. But we shall see. All right, real quick, because before we wrap up, anybody have any salutes, any unsung heroes that you've seen thus far with all these protests and everything that's been going on? Celebs, anybody that y'all want to kind of that y'all shouted out? I want to shout out what is it, John Boyega, the dude who for the Star Wars series. He's been out there on the front line protesting heavy. I've seen him. I've seen shout out to Deshaun Watson, who's been out there on the front lines. And he actually marched with George Floyd's family. I believe in Houston. I saw Megan Good made an appearance out there in the streets. I don't know if you saw her speech, Alan. It's worth a watch and a rewatch. When she was out there with the megaphone. Yes. So it was. Who else?
Don't steal all the names.
You said what?
I said don't steal all of them.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Go ahead. Go. You have some.
Yeah, just like I have three. So Colin Kaepernick is an obvious one for me. Like I think he deserves praise and setting a tone and sticking to what he said. I believe this man has so many beautiful things ahead of him, and I pray for him, and I hope the best comes to him for saying something, standing on it, and being strong in what he believed in. And as far as right now on the front line, Nick Cannon is a person I'll give some props to, and LL Cool J. I saw this
Howard alum Nick Cannon.
Ow, A2. And LL Cool J also had a really good rap that was super emotional, super raw, super real, just lovely. Like it went back to Mama said, knock you out, LL Cool J. And I was like, yes, my brother.
Did you pick every dude you attracted to? You picked Colin Kaepernick, Nick Cannon.
Actually, listen to this. Ironically, men sent me these videos. Well, I guess that doesn't make it. I guess that doesn't make it sound any better. I'm just connected to men everywhere. But no, it was just people trying to like show me the art and what different people are doing. So those are my folks.
Me, I want to put that in the I want to hear that. The LL.
Yeah, no. You want the LL Cool J video?
Yeah.
Look at Javonni. Yeah. Send me that. Oh, shit. Send me that video for research purposes. Send me the video. Yeah. Look at Javonni. Alan, any unsung heroes that you as far as celebs or stuff like that? You muted yourself. Go ahead.
Okay. So a couple people. First and foremost, just to the Black women on ground level, kicking this thing off, especially the Black women youth who this may be their first time around and getting their awakening, always holding it down. Appreciate y'all, love y'all. As far as on the celebs, just like everyone's coming out of their cubby hole. So shout out to Steph Curry. I saw Steph Curry, Klay Thompson marching. I saw Michael B. Jordan marching in LA today. Kanye West is currently right now in Chicago marching. J. Cole.
He pay for? I think I saw a report where he paid for George Floyd's daughter's college tuition.
Yeah, and he spread out $2 million between George Floyd, Breonna, and Ahmaud between their legal teams. And
he may be up for keeper. For probation.
Let's not get crazy. Let's not get crazy. Open the Birkin bag and maybe we'll come to some.
He's not gonna get no parole.
Not yet. No. You doing what you're supposed to do, brother. But yeah, I mean, I'm at least glad to see he's out protesting. Like I said, J. Cole in Fayetteville protesting. I'm especially glad to see that people are being active in their actual communities where they grew up, where they represent, because I think that's important. Having a bunch of stars in LA doesn't help someone in Fayetteville like J. Cole marching out there does. So shout out to everyone who's actually making a change, where they're from, using their status, where they're from, or where they work, or where they made their mark. So shout out to them.
Word. Javonni, you have any or?
I have not been following that much, honestly, but I did see Megan Good. She was protesting, so that was nice to see her, and she was
Can we pull
cursing
up? I
and
wonder if we
still
can pull up
claiming
that.
Jesus.
I'll show it to
That
you.
was good. And then I saw, you know, the dude who make the grills, the Asian
Paul
dude.
Wall?
No. Connie Dang.
Yes, he gave money to the family too. He wrote a big old check to the family, and I was like, that's dope, you know, because a lot many black businesses support him, and you know all the hip hop folks. But who else? A lot. Okay, some Florida legislators. Representative Ramon Alexander. He's been in the works. Representative Chevron Jones.
I do have the Megan Good clip just so we're being thorough for the show. If you guys, if we can go to the clip real quick.
Wait, which clip?
Of Megan Good giving her protest speech. For
yes.
research, so we're thorough. That's the only reason why.
Come on, man.
Family! Everybody that's here, this is family. Y'all, this is a time like no other time. The time is right now. With every single thing that's going on, even with COVID, God bless everybody who lost someone and everybody who's lost their life. But this time is so specific. It is so specific that it has to be now. We are all here. We are all paying attention. We are all available. There's nothing else to rush to but exactly what needs to happen right now.
That's right.
So let's not let this be a moment of marching and we're here and we're upset and we're angry and we do this for a week or 2 weeks or whatever it is. Let this be a time that we don't let up until some shit changes. Excuse my language, y'all. Y'all know I love the Lord. But I just wanted to encourage everybody. Don't get tired. Don't give up. Let's keep pushing until there is a difference and a change. Do everything within your power because the rest is up to God. But are we doing every single thing in our absolute power? Let's do it. Now is the time.
Yeah.
Everybody pay attention as we're out here because they're trying to change the narrative.
Yes, they are.
They're trying to make this about something else that it's not about on purpose. They're trying to discredit us.
Yeah.
So let's stay focused, y'all. Let's stay focused on what's important and let's stick together and let's continue to be family. I love every single one of y'all. God bless you guys. Let's get it. Defund the police!
Oh my goodness.
No mask.
That was, she had the mask down so she could give it. That was probably the greatest speech since the I Have a Dream speech at the Washington Monument that was given by Martin Luther King. I think that was phenomenal. Phenomenal. It's got me jazzed up for fired up for the revolution. Wow, amazing. I'm glad we went to that clip. I think it really brought something to the show.
Listen, it brought something to me.
Yeah, it's worth a rewatch. It's worth a rewatch. I might watch it again later just to be motivated before I go to bed and then, watch it in the morning. So, God bless Megan Good. Okay, for those who are still with us, we have a segment called Moral of the Story, which we summarize everything we kind of talked about, put a bow around it. So I'm going to go around the horn. Moral of the story. I'm going to start with our girl, Ish, all the way in Duval County. Ish, what's your moral of the story?
My moral of the story, first and foremost, stop killing us. That's the first thing that can resolve a lot of what's going on. Black people and allies, stay focused, stay organized, have a plan, know what you want when we're ready to, when it's on the table. When we're in those rooms to say what we want, know what you want. Have your demands and everything together. We got to have a plan when the time comes. Also, do what's in your heart. I'm not opposed to however a person is deciding to express. Love yourself, stay as safe as you can in light of everything, but do what's in your heart and fight for your life, because that is what this is about.
That's what's up. Moral of the story, Alan York.
Hey, moral of the story is mobilize, motivate, plan, and prioritize your peace. as well. I know we're seeing a lot of images. I'm sure I said this a couple of weeks ago, but it's still happening. We're seeing more images that's you're just gonna have to filter yourself out so you can be at your best self, so you can be best for your people.
Word. Moral of the story, Javonni Hampton.
My moral of the story is marching is not just going to be enough, nor is voting just going to be enough. Like, we really have to find ways to take back our communities and build more communities for the Black people. And so then that way we won't be destroying our own communities if there were other communities outside of the ones we live in. But we just got to try to do it, y'all. We just got to try to stick together and don't let the narrative of what we're doing change.
Appreciate that. My moral of the story is I remember there was a movie Bad Boys 2 where it was Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. They were in the chopper. They were going over to, there's a scene, they were in the chopper and they were going over to Cuba. And Martin goes over to Will Smith and he's going to say, well, his character, he was like trying to tell him about how much he appreciated him, how much he loved him. And Will Smith stopped him and said, tell me when it's over, right? So for all those who are apologizing and asking for forgiveness, whatever, it ain't the time for all that, in my opinion. Tell me when it's over. Tell me when you put the action to it. Tell me when we're at the end of the road, when we've dismantled the system. So that's when the biggest apology is change behavior. The biggest apology is you putting action to your words in your apology, because if not, it's just where you just left with empty words and empty rhetoric, and you're just leaving us, specifically people like myself and organizers that are on the grassroots, leaving us with the bag to continue to fight for our civil rights. I'm very proud of all the young activists that are out there that are, energetic. Please don't get discouraged. Continue to talk, continue to organize, mobilize, and strategize. And there is an agenda. Find yourself. There's a Colin Kaepernick in every community. I firmly believe that, right? So there's organizations that are actually doing good work. Just like how we told white folks to do their research about racism and their privilege, you too do the research in your community. That's for who's doing the work. Donate your resources, donate your time. Time is also as valuable as resources, as financial resources as well. And make sure that you get involved. Ask your local elected officials how they feel about if they have a police bill of rights, specifically here in Florida. How do you feel about the police bill of rights? Figure out what's going on your citizen review boards, how you can get more weight with the citizen review board. So there's plenty of things and suggestions that we have here in Orlando. We're rolling out a 5-point plan. We're rolling out phase 1 fairly soon. And I'm just excited to be a part of all this. And and I think this is why we have the Soapboxx, so that we can have independent Black media. I know the people in the city of Orlando, they hate my videos. They hate what we're talking about because they can't control the narrative, And so it was actually referenced at a press conference where, but I asked either one of them, anybody from the city hall or OPD or the sheriffs or any law enforcement, anything we see on here, we have an open door policy. If you think that I'm saying something that is contrary or factually incorrect, you have an open door policy to come onto this platform and have constructive dialogue and correct me on some of my maybe misconceptions about your policies or what's going on in your area. So there's no, we want to talk with people. I'm extending the olive branch to any elected official that wants to come on here and have dialogue in anybody's community. So we're not scared of that. We're here to have conversations, to interview anybody and talk with anybody. We may have to agree to disagree, but that's why the Soapboxx is here, so that voices can be heard and we can ask tough and authentic questions. And we are heading to 1 year, ladies and gentlemen, next week, 1 year episode. We were planning something. I'm still weighing what we're going to do, but because of the climate, but yes, 1 year, the Soapboxx has been here. And so we appreciate our new listeners. We appreciate our new supporters. And you can find us on Soapboxx Podcast with 2X on Instagram, and follow and listen to us on Spotify and all these streaming services. So appreciate y'all support. I'm very happy that we have this independent platform, and it's only getting better, y'all. It's only going to grow. I mean, we got a lot more new folks, so it's going to grow. So all hearts and minds are clear. Everybody good? All right. For Alan York, for Ishna Y'Keal, For Javonni Hampton, for Jesse, for TJ Legacy, this is the Soapboxx Podcast. We're out, we're here, and we're not going nowhere. Peace. All right, that was the picture.